overview of what you're going to be getting in your BimmerHausPerformance high flow air intake for the F15 N55, whether you're a DIYer or a shop trying to figure out how to quote this for a customer. This is a quick overview. For you shop guys out there, if you're trying to figure out how to price this, essentially what you're looking at is a tear out of the old stock system all the way down to the inlet, and then an install of this system, which is going to go from the inlet and remap or reroute your MAF sensor, your crankcase ventilation heater, and as well as getting in behind the grill to install the filter. So it comes with everything needed, but I think if you quote the job based on essentially getting down to the turbo, that would be adequate. So if you are a DIYer and you're not comfortable with what I just explained, or maybe didn't follow too much, I will be posting a more in-depth video. Luckily for the F chassis, this is one of the easiest turbos to get to, because essentially you can remove a wheel and get in behind the fender wells to get to the inlet and get to this 10mm nut here. First of all, you're going to notice that you're going to get 4 clamps, and with the clamps I'd go here, 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 and either one of these places, depending on how you situate this. There is some play. These pieces are a little bit long, so you can push them in a little bit farther down over here if you need to get more length. This 30-degree piece right here twists so you can get the correct angle. So there is a little bit of getting the angles right and the lengths right so that everything goes together smooth, and then you can then clamp it together. These connection pieces are printed oversized and are very tight tolerances, and they can be difficult to get on because they are so tight. Especially this piece right here, it's an oval piece, and it is intentionally oval to help with the hood clearance as the hood shuts here and this goes down into behind the grill. So with this piece here, I would recommend using maybe some WD-40, maybe even getting a heat gun on it to kind of get the silicone couplers a little bit more malleable. Had a couple people have some issues with getting this behind the grill. This is actually pretty easy. This clamp comes off right here, and actually I personally take both front grills out and then I work through the grills. I put these pieces in and kind of assemble it behind the grill, and then this 90 comes out. You guys, so we have this straight printed piece, short 90, and this will be trimmed down because you don't want that filter hanging too low. So this is trimmed up a little bit, so make sure you put the long elbow up. Then you go into a straight adapter and you go into what is the MAF housing. MAF adapter goes up here. You got hardware with it. Crankcase ventilation goes right here. And this guy right here, you'll have to trim to length. Don't trim until the end, because when you're sure where everything's going to go. But this will come back up and connect right to your valve cover. As far as the stock crankcase ventilation hose, it's frigid, it's fragile, it's probably already broken. But the ends to that, I would just take a knife and cut that off and use the connections and the nipples and just put this right into those pieces, and it'll work perfectly. A MAF adapter is included. The MAF sensor in your wiring harness in the engine bay is going to be up here about midway down your valve cover. It could just flip over and plug into this, but I included this as well so you can kind of route it cleanly. Just make sure it doesn't fall down onto the turbo and melt. That would be awful. And then lastly, we have this vacuum hose right here, and it goes on this nipple right here to grab vacuum, and it goes over to a T intersection over by the vacuum pump on the opposite side of the engine bay. You can take a sharp knife, trim that piece. It's a little barb fitting underneath there. Pull the old hard vacuum line off, and you can plug this one in. All right, going from there, let's get down to the actual inlet part. We have 2 O-rings. I include a locking nut, 10mm locking nut, and a washer. And You don't need to kill yourself trying to tighten this thing down. It just needs to be tight because it's just holding this in. And this 90 right here, I'll show you guys. I'm going to disconnect this so I can show you guys a little bit better angle. But this guy here, you're going to see this is ovaled. This will go on. And you're essentially, by the time, this is actually going to angle a little bit back towards the firewall a little bit. And then again, this piece here, you're going to be able to play with it to get a little better angle so that you can fit this 90 into here, and then this goes back into the housing. So the way I put these together is this is one section, this is another, and then they meet up here. And then once everything's kind of in place, I throw my clamps on, I put my sensors in, I trim the size for both my hoses, hook up my electrical, and you are good to go. Just a quick note, this map housing, you're going to see it's kind of long, and so you do have some play as far as how far you throw that down, this connector. But it does have a built-in air straightener, and so you can see that there. That helps keep the airflow linear. Do not take this out. We want to make sure that the air flowing over the mass sensor is nice and laminar and not turbulent and floating around. Otherwise, that can cause codes. You should have absolutely no codes with this setup. We've had it successfully installed on multiple systems. This inlet will work with either any kind of upgraded hybrid turbo, the BimmerHausPerformance turbo. If you guys are interested in a turbo and you're a current customer, or you're thinking about getting a turbo and you need a high flow inlet, I do give discount packages for getting these things together. I also can provide heavy duty actuators for you PWG guys, Turbo Smart diverter valves as well, and so I can get you guys all set up and ready to go for a hybrid turbo setup. So if you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out, text me. I'll put my number in the description. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to help. Thanks so much.